Coronation Street has released a first-look clip at the moment where Cassie Plummer says goodbye to her family, with the scene being one of the final ones for actor Claire Sweeney as she bows out from the ITV soap after a 3-year stint. Cassie's departure from Weatherfield has been hastened by the recent arrival of Ross Wilkes, a dangerous former lover from her past. As Tyrone Dobbs's long-lost father, Ross has managed to worm his way into his family's lives. Cassie, however, was perturbed by his arrival on the cobbles as she knows exactly what Ross is like, and their escalating feud provides the backdrop for her exit as she claims to have accepted a job on a cruise ship. In Monday's, August 3rd, episode of the soap, Cassie will say her goodbyes as she bids an emotional farewell to Tyrone and his family, with a first-look clip, which can be viewed below, depicting the emotional moment. She explains to her grandchildren why she's moving away, though Hope doesn't believe that a new job is the reason why she's leaving. Cassie tearfully says goodbye, while Fizz leaves her some money and a photo of the family. Cassie warns Fizz that Ross can't be trusted, though Tyrone overhears this and tells her to leave quickly. After Fizz reasons that Cassie is still family, Tyrone remarks, "Not anymore, she's not." Sweeney, who has also appeared on Brookside, recently shared that filming this very scene proved to be incredibly emotional, with the director having to pause filming as the actor became overwhelmed. Saying goodbye to Hope and Ruby, "I sobbed. The tears were real," she recalled. At one point, the director even asked me to hold back a bit because it looked like I was having a breakdown. The children started crying too. While Cassie intends to leave Weatherfield, she won't have it all her own way, as it has already been confirmed that a twist will occur. Just as the character prepares to leave, she is confronted by Ross, and locked in his car as he seeks revenge. Regarding the dramatic developments, our Corrie insider teases, whether she actually makes it to the cruise ship, or what happens when Ross takes her, no one knows, and it's left wonderfully open. Coronation Street is preparing to say goodbye to one of its familiar faces, with the ITV soap offering fans a first glimpse of an emotional exit storyline after 3 years on the cobbles. The upcoming departure is expected to leave several residents shaken, as a character who has become closely woven into Weatherfield life prepares to walk away from everything they know. While Coronation Street has always been famous for dramatic exits, this one appears set to focus less on explosive twists and more on the emotional impact of saying goodbye. First-look scenes tease a deeply personal moment as the character begins to realize that their time in Weatherfield may genuinely be coming to an end. For viewers who have followed the character's journey over the past 3 years, the departure promises to be a bittersweet moment. A difficult goodbye. The first-look pictures show the character facing an uncertain future, surrounded by familiar faces and locations that have played an important part in their time on the show. Rather than simply disappearing without explanation, the exit storyline is expected to give the character a chance to reflect on everything that has happened since they first arrived. There have been friendships, arguments, heartbreak, and unexpected developments along the way. But now, after 3 years of drama, it appears that circumstances have reached a point where staying in Weatherfield is no longer an easy option. That decision is likely to create some difficult conversations. One of the most emotional elements of the storyline could be the reaction from those closest to the departing character. For some residents, the news may come as a complete shock. Others might understand exactly why the decision has been made, even if they are devastated to see someone they care about leave. And, as fans of Corrie know all too well, saying goodbye is rarely straightforward. The first look hints at tears. The newly teased scenes suggest that emotions will run high as the character prepares to leave. There is a sense that the goodbye has been building for some time, with unresolved feelings finally coming to the surface. A seemingly ordinary conversation could quickly become much more meaningful when the reality of the departure sinks in. The character may try to remain strong, insisting that leaving is the right thing to do. But behind that determination could be plenty of sadness. After spending 3 years surrounded by the same streets, homes, and familiar faces, walking away from Weatherfield would naturally be a huge emotional step. For viewers, there is also the question of whether this is genuinely the end. Soap history is full of characters who leave the cobbles only to return years later. That means even an emotional farewell does not necessarily have to be permanent. However, for now, everything points towards a genuine exit. A major change for the character. The departure could mark the end of a significant chapter. Over the past 3 years, the character has experienced changes that have gradually transformed their place within the community. At one point, they may have believed that Weatherfield was where they belonged. But circumstances have a way of changing people's priorities. The upcoming exit appears to reflect that idea. Sometimes leaving is not about running away. Sometimes it is about accepting that life has changed and having the courage to start again somewhere else. That could make this particular goodbye especially powerful. Instead of a dramatic explosion or a shocking crime forcing the character out, the storyline seems to be built around personal choices and emotional consequences. And that could make it even more relatable for viewers. Friends struggle to let go. The hardest part of the storyline may be watching the people left behind deal with the departure. Weatherfield is a small community, and when someone leaves, their absence can be felt almost immediately. A familiar seat at the Rovers, an empty place at the cafe, or a quiet conversation on the street can suddenly remind everyone that someone is missing. Those closest to the departing character may struggle to accept that things will never be quite the same. There could even be one final attempt to persuade them to stay. A heartfelt conversation could force the character to reconsider everything. But if their mind is already made up, there may be very little anyone can do. That creates the possibility of one of those classic Corrie scenes where neither person knows exactly what to say. Sometimes a hug says more than words ever could. Could there be one last twist? Of course, Coronation Street rarely allows an exit storyline to remain completely straightforward. Even when a character appears to have made a final decision, something can happen at the last minute to change everything. The first look scenes could therefore be deliberately keeping certain details hidden. Could a secret be revealed? Could someone make an unexpected confession? Or could a final conversation completely alter the character's plans? Those questions are likely to keep viewers guessing right up until the episode airs. There is also the possibility that another resident could be responsible for making the departure happen. A betrayal, argument, or hidden truth could suddenly give the exit a completely different meaning. What looks like a peaceful goodbye could potentially turn into something much more complicated. And that is exactly the kind of twist Corrie viewers have learned to expect. 3 years of memories. Whatever happens next, the character's 3-year journey has already left its mark on Weatherfield. They have built relationships, faced challenges, and become part of the everyday fabric of the cobbles. That is why their departure is likely to feel bigger than simply losing one person from the cast. Soap characters become familiar to viewers. Fans watch them celebrate birthdays, experience heartbreak, make mistakes, and try to rebuild their lives. Over time, they can almost feel like neighbors. So when they finally leave, there is naturally a sense of loss. For some viewers, the upcoming scenes may bring back memories of the characters' earliest days on the show. There could be moments of reflection as they remember how different life looked 3 years ago. The character who walks away may be very different from the person who first arrived. What happens next? The big question now is what the future holds. Will the character begin a completely new life away from Weatherfield? Will their relationship survive the distance? And could the door eventually remain open for a return? Coronation Street has a long tradition of bringing back familiar faces, sometimes after years away. So while this departure could be emotional and final for now, fans may understandably refuse to believe that they have seen the last of the character. There is also the possibility that the exit could have consequences for other ongoing storylines. A departure can leave behind secrets, unanswered questions, and broken relationships. Those consequences could continue to unfold long after the character has disappeared from the cobbles. An emotional farewell. Ultimately, the first look suggests that Coronation Street is preparing for a farewell built around emotion rather than spectacle. After 3 years, the character's exit represents a major turning point. There may be tears, difficult conversations, and painful goodbyes before they finally take that last step away from Weatherfield. For the character, it could be the beginning of an exciting new chapter. For everyone left behind, however, it may feel like the end of an era. And for Corrie fans, one thing is almost certain: the departure will not be forgotten quickly. As the character prepares to leave the cobbles behind, viewers will be watching closely for every final glance, every emotional conversation, and every possible clue about what comes next. Because in Weatherfield, a goodbye is rarely just a goodbye. Sometimes, it is the beginning of an entirely new story. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.